All righty, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today, game preview. The University of Oklahoma has a football game this weekend. Man, it feels great to finally be here. We talk a lot of recruiting, but it's always nice whenever you can actually see the recruits finally play football. I know some people actually enjoy the recruiting aspect more than they do actually watching the games and watching the team who's actually on the roster. But I know we absolutely love watching and attending OU football games. Brandon will be there. Jose and
We'll
I
be
will
there.
not be. But I think Jose and I plan on going a couple this year. I know Jose plans on at least one, which will be good. Maybe two. Are you going to BYU?
That's the plan.
All right, so you'll go to two as well. So at least a couple. But before we get into the game preview, talking about Arkansas State and OU, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Everything's linked in the description below. And remember, every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Central, we go live. The last live stream we did earlier this week was the biggest one we've ever had, north of 250 people. So be sure to turn that notification bell on. And I'm sure we'll have some stuff to talk about, maybe. I don't know, some actual football to talk about, performances, what we're going to start previewing. So, Jose, I'm going to turn it over to you. What are your thoughts on this game, Oklahoma, Arkansas State, and everything in between?
So, before we started recording, I was doing some reading because I don't know much, if anything, about Arkansas State. Now I know a little bit. Coached by Butch Jones, we were talking about that. The last time we played against a team coached by him was Tennessee. Back when it was a home and home series, in what was it, 13-14, where we kicked their ass in Norman and then beat them in a double overtime thriller where Sterling Shepard did his little ballet dance to get into the end zone. And since then, Butch has had a hard time getting back to Power 5 coaching ranks. His head coach of Arkansas State isn't great there last season, went 3-9. His overall record isn't great. This is his third year at Arkansas State, probably on the hot seat. And their quarterback isn't great either. I mean, last year he was the quarterback for a 1-11 Colorado team. His name's JT Shrout. He threw for 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, 8 picks. When I first read that stat line, my first thought was, well, maybe he can run the ball. Maybe he's a really good scrambling quarterback where, who knows, they're running the triple option. Nope, really bad at running. It was like negative 30 on 50 attempts or something like that. And I'm sure those count some of those weird sack stats that also count against his rushing yards. So maybe like when it's actually running the ball, he's got 20 yards. So still not amazing. This defensive line should be able to keep him in front of them so that it's not a absolute shit show like we watched last year and for many years now versus mobile quarterbacks. Also, a fun fact, and the one that I wanted to tell you guys earlier, last time Oklahoma played Arkansas State was in the 2000 season. Bob Stoops' second year, beat him 49-7, I think, was the score. There's a lot of similarities when you look at this season versus 2000 season. Look, I'm not a big guy of like, it's going to happen. I know there's some fans who are like, it's too much in common. Oklahoma's got to be destined for greatness this season. History repeats itself. Could it happen? Possibly. There's just too many coincidences here when you compare 2000 versus now 2023.
So, with the exception of the last thing you said, you gave the book answer about Arkansas State. I'll give the cliff notes. Is that Arkansas State sucks? They're not a good football team. Oklahoma should win handedly. These games, I'm so excited that we're back at the Palace. I'm so excited football is back. But I mean, this game really doesn't do much for you. I mean, it's hard to gauge how good of a football team you're going to be. It's hard to gauge how good of a performance somebody has based off of games like these. This is the preseason of college football, if you will. This is it's a tune-up against another live team. But I am excited to see, as we talked about on the live stream. So here's like the two things that I'm looking forward to, or one thing I'm looking forward to, and one thing I'm not looking forward to from this game. The things I'm looking forward to is, we all said it, after that initial depth chart comes out is it doesn't hold a lot of weight. It's something that's going to change a lot. So I'm excited to see how much rotation is going to happen in this game. You should expect to see a lot. Defensive backs, defensive line, running backs, receivers. Everybody should be, flipping in and out depending on the look, situation, score, all sorts of different things. So I'm excited to see a lot of the young guys play. I'm excited to see Peyton Bowen. He's the guy I mentioned on the live stream as a player I'm most excited to see. I hope J.A. gets some playing time. I hope Jaquez Petaway gets some playing time because you guys know how I feel about Jaquez. So that I think is the fun part about games like this is you're going to see a lot of things. Maybe some guys can, earn some playing time, but again, it's hard to see based off of games like this. Here's what I'm not excited for, and this is probably one of my least favorite things of the season, every single season. You mentioned 2000, the score 49-7, whatever. If Arkansas State, tomorrow or Saturday, let's say early in the game, it's 7-3. People are going to be freaking the fuck out all for forever. And I hate that. Or if Dylan Gabriel throws one incomplete pass, man, he sucks. We're not good. The overreactions, if you will, that part is what drives me crazy because the score could be 7-3 at one point, but the final is going to be 51-6. Dylan Gabriel might throw an incomplete pass, but he's going to finish 19 of 22 for 4 touchdowns. So but the crazy instant overreactions when you play teams like this is what I hate. And I'm actually glad I'm going to be at the game so I can't see that on the X app.
On the X app. I do agree that if Oklahoma comes out of the gate a little wobbly, people will start getting antsy. And there's a chance that they do. It is a preseason game, essentially. It's their first opportunity to really go up against someone other than themselves. But looking at Arkansas State, obviously, as Jose alluded to and you've alluded to, Brandon, they're not the most talented. I think since Butch Jones has taken over, I think his record's 5-19. It's not great. They lost from their team last year. They lost their leading rusher in Johnny Lang, who only had 419 yards. But really their big weapon is was Sadow Traore. I think that's how you say it. He was a tight end. He had 655 yards last year.
That's probably butchered, but that's on brand.
Yeah, it's on brand. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
He's transferred to Mississippi State. But I will say their best wide receiver for the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021, Corey Rucker. In 2021, he had 816 yards and 9 touchdowns before transferring to South Carolina to go play with Spencer Rattler. He has since returned. He only recorded 1 catch at South Carolina, and he made the return. So they got him as Corey Rucker. He's only 6 foot tall, but he can play. And then you got Courtney Jackson, who's transferring from Syracuse. He's a 4-year guy at Syracuse. I think he's coming in as a redshirt senior now. So you got a couple wide receivers that are capable. Whether the quarterback can get the ball to him and Stroud, get the ball to him, I don't know. I don't know if that offensive line can actually hold up playing against Oklahoma's defensive line that we all anticipate should be much improved and should make the quarterback very uncomfortable. But I think that Arkansas State's going to run the ball a lot, try to milk the clock as much as they can, shorten the game up, because they're not going to be able to go up and down the field and go score. While we all thought that Oklahoma's offense had problems, it could move the ball, and it still averaged north of 30 points last year a game. So I think with that in mind, they're going to try to hold the ball and run it, and then, use that play action and things like that. So that defensive line is really going to be tested against Arkansas State. You're muted, Jose.
My bad. Saying you would assume that they would have that type of game plan, but I think this defense is going to be good enough that for Rucker, the hashtag return isn't going to turn out well for him. Because that quarterback, I think it's very impressive that he only threw for 1,200 yards. And, some people might be thinking, and I'm going to say, we have a worse quarterback on this roster. I'm not going to say his name, but we have one. And, it could be worse for OU, but it's not. We've got 2 very talented quarterbacks, the 1 and the 2. And at this point, even if they did try to run the ball, I just have a hard time believing they're going to put up any real performance on the offensive side of the ball.
In Stroud's defense, there was not much talent around him, and he was playing for the worst Power 5 program in the country.
Well,
So
it's gonna be ugly.
Is this
It is what it is.
Arkansas State team? Do they have a chance against last year's Colorado team? It'd be pretty even.
That's a you guys question. Yeah,
I didn't watch too much Colorado because they were terrible. I don't think anyone could. I don't think even the people that lived there did. But 1-11 versus 3-9. It's not like it was a huge improvement. You would assume the talent at Colorado is
I'd
at
pick
least
Colorado.
a little better than what's at Arkansas State.
well, and also you're going down and playing a different level of competition. I don't know. I guess I'm very cautious about. I mean, and this is a preview to our betting. I am taking Arkansas State plus 36.
Okay, I'm gonna go 48-7 Oklahoma week 1. So I'm gonna take in a preview to our betting. I'm obviously taking Oklahoma minus 36.
You know, something that we did last year a lot, and I don't remember if we did it when on the videos that Brandon was here, is key players for offense and defense. We may have done it the season before as well. But do you guys think, and I think we can all agree, it's going to be a lot of rotation, even maybe not at first, but as we get through the game, halfway through the third quarter, more than likely, maybe even full second half, Jackson Arnold gets to play it out. I think we can all agree that we're excited to see the freshmen and who gets the most playing time. But who do you think, maybe the beginning of the game, key players, 1 or 2 on the offense and 1 or 2 on the defense?
Andrew Anthony, Danny Stutzman.
And I mean, for me, it's the whole group. I want to see the offensive line. Can they gel? And I know it's against lower ranked competition, but for them, it always seems like a lot of years they're figuring everything out the first month. And I'd like to see, and it seems like all the reports that are coming out, they're ahead of schedule. And you add a player like Walter Rouse in here, and you add Guyton and all these new starters that are here, and Rain seems to be healthy, and Savion Bird stepping up. You'd just like to be able to see everyone come together and actually keep Dylan Gabriel upright. And as far as defense goes, I want to see what Gentry Williams is all about. I mean, he's flashed a little bit. He had that pick early last year. There wasn't a ton of, hype coming out of camp. I mean, there was good things about him, but there were some other players in camp that were getting a lot more praise and a lot more press, or a lot more people were talking about him. And I don't know if it's because Gentry had a little bit of a medical issue or whatever, but I just want to see, obviously he's the number 1 cornerback opposite of Woody. Let's just see it. I mean, he's a young guy. He's talented. He seems to be healthy. So, can he play and be that 1A and 1B with Woody Washington and really lock it down?
So on offense, I'm going to go with the running back. I guess Marcus Major, since he's listed as a number 1. Can he keep the job? Does he get an opportunity to keep the job? So I said it during the live stream. I genuinely believe that the depth chart is more for the running back specifically, is more to do that Javonte and Gavin were dealing with injuries for some of the camp, or for some of the offseason, and Marcus and Tawi stayed healthy for all of it, if not obviously more than the 2 younger guys. Not that I don't think they're talented, but really I believe that if you look at all 4 of them, Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk as a duo are better than Tawi Walker and Marcus Major. So I'd be interested to see, how well does it do? How does that duo do versus Javonte and Gavin when they get their opportunities? And on the defensive side of the ball, the easy answer for me is the defensive line as a unit, but I really want to see Ethan Downs. How has he improved now in his second year in this system? Because last year he played decent against the run, but rushing the passer was not great. We talked about it now multiple times. Has he improved in that aspect? And Trace Ford, guys, got a lot of hype this year. I was watching a little bit of Thune and Drums podcast, and they were I don't know if they agreed with it or not, but they were saying that people that they talked to believe he's a 10 sack kind of guy this upcoming season, which would be huge, especially for someone that might not be the full-time starter and a rotational guy. I guess we'll see as the season goes on, but if he can stay healthy, let's see him do it. I mean, dude can rack up 2 or 3 sacks this game, make it a little bit easier for him to get to that 10 sack milestone.
I think I'm most excited to see Deshaun McCullough and Peyton Bowen. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, an additional defensive player. I want to see Justin Harrington because I'm on the Harrington hype train.
Didn't you ride that train last year too?
And the year before.
I still think he's. I mean,
you're ride or die. We respect it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to. I just think Harrington.
Unless we're talking about recruiting, then he's, on 1 week it's here, 1 week it's here, 1 week it's here.
What? I flip-flopped on Caden Durham like 2 times.
And Grant Bricks now.
Well, yeah, that's the first time I've flopped. Sorry, I've been on Grant Bricks for
2 in like a 3-week span.
So Caden Durham, I was right, and then
but you can always just flip back and forth till you get it right.
I mean,
You're like the guys who put their crystal ball in the day of their recruiting process.
I don't feel like
happen.
I feel like I switched on Caden Durham about 3 weeks before he committed, and I wrote it out.
2 Wilt Funks.
Yeah. So,
all right, it doesn't matter.
Anyway.
I think that going back to the game, this will be a fun game because it's the first one, and we've all been fiending for OU football.
The most wonderful time of the year.
Stay hydrated, as Brum said, because it looks like the weather's going to be...
Crush those Miller Lights.
It's basically like water.
Throw in a water every once in a while.
Mix in a water every now and again, but for the most part, crush those lights. It's game day.
Or those, I don't know if they're any good. I'm going to try to get some here to Arizona, but those OU...
those do. I do want to try those.
Stadium, so...
Yeah.
All right,
It's from Coop. Yeah, that's a pretty good brewery. So, yeah, I might pick up some for the game this weekend.
Should.
We should have some for the live stream. Tuesday.
Yeah.
Should consider it.
But overall, I mean, I think we can all agree that Oklahoma's going to win. They should win in convincing fashion.
I picked 48-7. Let's go around the horn.
I'm going to go 49-7, just because I'm going to continue with the theme of same thing as 2000 squad.
Well, the 2000 squad I think was 45-7. I just googled the box score.
Was it 45-7?
Yeah. So are you changing your score to
something
45? Either way, that still covers. Yeah.
Yep. 45-7.
I am looking at. I think it's going to be 42-14.
See, I think if that's the final score, we're going to have people freaking out.
I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really any reason to be concerned. I just think Arkansas State's going to try to shorten this game up. And also, the thought of now that the clock doesn't stop after a first down, it's going to shorten the game a little bit too, outside of, the last 2 minutes of each half. I mean, it's just going like the NFL. So that is going to take away 5 or 6 plays. And I just think they're going to shorten it up. Yeah, if not more. It just depends on the game style, especially if they're running the ball a ton. So, But I certainly hope Oklahoma. I hope I'm wrong, but I've watched so many Oklahoma games where they're big favorites. They win, but when you start getting north of 30 points, it gets a little spooky with them sometimes if you're betting. So, let's actually go into the betting section, of this video.
You writing down all the picks? Is that how this worked last year?
Well,
I can write yours down, but I have mine written down right here.
Yeah, what we kind of did last year was Jose and I just kept track of our own.
Okay, that works.
And then, at the end of the day, what you say is on video anyway, so we know if you start saying, well, I went 8-0 every week, and we're like, okay, come on, buddy.
So I'm 1-1 right now.
Well, I mean, we're going to start 0-0 just because now everyone's picking. So we haven't figured out a punishment. There's been a suggestion of, the loser should wear a Texas or a USC jersey for the following week as far as all the videos and things like that. That would be interesting, but I would hate for us to buy like 3 Texas jerseys because we are all in different places and have to own something horrible like that. So I don't know. We're gonna have to come up with something. But anyway, so basically, for anyone that hasn't been here before and is new here, what we do is we pick at least 5 games every Friday, and one of them has to be the Oklahoma game, whether it's the spread, total points, something. You have to pick something related to the Oklahoma game, and you can go at least 5. You have to go at least 5. You can go more. Sometimes Jose loved the board last year and we took a dozen games, but some weeks he feasted on that and some weeks he famine. So it just it's a numbers game. So Jose, I'll turn it over to you. And Brandon, what we did was we did basically one pick, and we just kind of went around in a circle and kind of gave why you're picking the way you are.
That works.
Yep. So clearly this week we got Thursday's games already. Didn't get to bet on those. So we're going to do everything from today on. First game, I'm just going to start with the OU game. I think Oklahoma covers the 36.5, and I'll take the over of 58.5 for the game as well.
I'll match that with you. So yeah, exactly the same. I picked 48-7. Wait, that doesn't actually cover then. Wait, would you say it was 56?
58.5.
Yeah, then never mind. I'm gonna take Oklahoma to cover, and I'm gonna go the under on total points.
Yeah. If you found an extra half point, I'll take Arkansas State plus 36.5. I just think it's going to be a shortened game.
We'll see. My next game is Michigan versus ECU. I'm taking the over on that of 51.5. Michigan. This is probably the best team they've had in a long time. J.J. McCarthy is supposed to be that guy for him. Has been talked about as a first-round kind of quarterback. Then you brought back someone that probably could have been a Heisman finalist in Blake Corum, but he got hurt at the very end of the year. And then Donovan Edwards, their number 2 running back. So if they don't put up a lot of points, I'd be surprised.
Second one, I'm going to go Utah State plus 23.5 against Iowa. I think Iowa wins, but we talked about, I think, in the live stream or something. A blowout in Iowa Hawkeye football is going to be like 17-3 or 17-6. They might get crazy and score 21, make it like a 21-6 game. Either way, I don't see them. I don't see them covering. So give me Utah State and the points.
My next one is TCU in Colorado. Colorado's going on the road, traveling to Texas Christian. I'm taking Colorado plus 20.5. I don't necessarily think Colorado is going to win, but TCU did lose a whole lot. They lost Max Duggan, who is better than Stetson Bennett, and then also Quentin Johnson. And, they lost a lot. And they had a very magical, it was a special year. It's kind of similar to the Super Bowl hangover. I think they're going to struggle a bit, and out the gate, there's a lot of change. I think Colorado keeps it within 3 touchdowns. That's a lot of points.
So I'm going to say 2 just because I have more bets than you guys, and it's on both the games you just talked about. I'm going to take the under in the Iowa game. It was my go-to bet of the week every week last year. And I agree. I mean, even if Iowa wins, I don't even care if it's a blowout in their eyes. Prove it. Like, they have a clause in there for their offensive coordinator that he has to average like 20-something points a game to not get fired at the end of the year. If you had to put it in writing that he had to do it, you don't trust him to do it. So, prove it. Under 43.5. And then Colorado versus TCU, I'm also going to take the under there. Because I agree, Brum. I don't see TCU having the same explosive offense. They lost those guys that you mentioned, but then they also lost a little bit of depth. Jordan Hudson was a very talented receiver that they lost in the transfer portal. I think he went to SMU. You're having to replace a lot of talent. That they lost a couple guys on the offensive line, if I remember correctly. So you've got a lot of talent to replace that helped you get to where you got last year. I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle out the gate, and then Colorado, even if they look good, I have a tough time imagining that this is like two teams scoring 30-plus points. Might be somewhere in the high 20s where they stay.
So my third one, I'm going to go back to Southern Cal. We messed around and picked that last week. I'm going to go Nevada plus 38 against USC, simply because USC has one of the worst defenses in the country. We saw it week 1 against San Jose State. San Jose State averaged 7.3 yards a rush after being one of the worst teams in all of college football running the ball last season. I don't think USC is capable of beating anybody by 38 points. So give me Nevada and plus 38. You're muted.
Yeah, Nevada plus 38. I'm taking the UMass Auburn game. I am taking UMass plus 35. The Hugh Freeze hype. It's just Auburn. It's a gut feeling that 35 points is a lot of points. It's 5 touchdowns. I just think that I don't think UMass is winning, but I think it's close in the people. I mean, within that. It's 20-something points.
Fair. I'll just go ahead and repeat the same thing Brandon said a second ago. Nevada to cover. I got a 38.5. But I think that there's no way that should covers. I mean, I hope not at least. We were actually talking about it. Lincoln Riley is like a 500 coach against the spread. So it's really a coin flip.
Yeah. So my next one, I'm going to go South Carolina against North Carolina. I think it's one of the better games of the weekend. I understand Drake May is, got all this hype. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. He's a fantastic quarterback. That being said, give me South Carolina plus 2.5. I'm actually going to pick South Carolina outright in that game. I think the way they came on at the end of last season, I got to watch a little bit of that. Got to go to the Tennessee game when Tennessee when Tennessee came to South Carolina. Tennessee was, I think, at that point in time 5 or 6 in the country, and South Carolina beat the shit out of them. Spencer Rattler looked fantastic. They finished the year strong. I think they're going to ride that hot end of the season last year into the beginning of this season. South Carolina outright over the Tar Heels.
Well, I'll just piggyback off of that because I had it listed too. I'm taking USC or South Carolina plus 2.5. North Carolina doesn't play defense. Drake May's great. I just think that South Carolina is the better squad. So I'm taking, and they're at home. I'm taking them.
Yeah, I'm with you guys, and they've improved their offensive line too. I think they got a really high-rated 4-star last year. He's probably going to get some playing time for this game. Nick Harbor, a guy that OU was semi-recruiting at one point, 5-star. I think he's playing tight end for him. He was a 5-star athlete. Has been getting a lot of hype for him in the past game. He's a huge target for Spencer Rattler. I could see them winning, but I'm just going to take the 2.5 just in case it's a close game.
All right, so second to last one for me, 5th pick of the show. I'm going to go to our Big 12 friends for one more year at least, Texas Tech. I'm going to take Tech minus 14 against Wyoming just because Wyoming's bad. I think Texas Tech will win. It's not going to be necessarily a huge blowout. I can see it being like a 31-13, 31-10 type game. So give me Texas Tech minus 14 against Wyoming.
UTSA and Houston. This is my second to last pick. I am taking the over here. The last time that these two teams played last year, they had a triple overtime game. Dana Holgerson can put together a pretty prolific offense. UTSA can score the ball. Houston, actually, speaking of Texas Tech, Donovan Smith is a transfer from Tech. He has won the quarterback job for Houston. I think Houston's going to try to send a message, but I think they're going to allow a lot of points. I think UTSA will have the ability to score, so I'm taking the over there.
Also, my second to last bet. I think Brandon just read off my sheet. He's copying me. I also took Texas Tech minus 14.5.
That's crazy.
That offense is very good. The defense is really their biggest question mark. They don't really play defense like most Big 12 teams don't. So if they can, I genuinely think this could be like a 20-point game in their favor. But we'll see what happens.
That's crazy. So here's my last one, Jose. We'll see if you have this one too. Last pick. I mean, technically, you've been copying me. I've been going around. You've just been piggybacking off me. But my last one, I'm going to go Tulane minus 6.5 against South Alabama. I think South Alabama is a good FCS team. I think at least they're one of the better ones. I think it's why it's such a close spread here. But I mean, Tulane was a good team last year. I don't really know all that they lost. I watched them come back against Southern Cal, so they grew on me. Give me Tulane -6.5 against South Alabama.
All right, my last one is probably the biggest game of the weekend is Florida State and LSU. Give me LSU -2.5. I don't think Florida State is as good as people think they are. They are riding a 6-game win streak. They beat a lot of bad teams in this 6-game win streak, including Oklahoma. I'm just going to put it out there. Last year, Oklahoma was not good. I mean, they beat Georgia Tech, Miami, Syracuse, Louisiana, and Florida and Oklahoma. And I mean, there's nothing to write home about. Florida State's getting a lot of hype. And I think LSU is for real. And I'm not saying that they're going to, beat Georgia for the SEC championship, but they played really well. And I think Brian Kelly will have them ready to play. They lost in heartbreak fashion last year, and everyone mocked Brian Kelly. I don't think he's forgotten that. I think LSU is going to take care of business.
I actually just added a bet because I forgot that there's games past Saturday. So I've got 2 more. These are my last 2, I promise. Penn State versus WVU. I'm going to take the over. The line set at 48.5. Drew Aller's supposed to be very good, better than what they've had with Sean Clifford at quarterback. They have a second-year 5-star running back in Nick Singleton. Offense should be good. Defense is usually pretty good there. Penn State, maybe this is the year they can finally break through and get to the college football playoffs. We'll see. And then my last bet for realsies is Clemson -12.5. I think that team is kind of going under the radar here because how bad they were on offense last year, but they did just get Garrett Riley as their offensive coordinator. We saw what he did with TCU. I can't imagine that offense being bad with Cade Klubnik at the helm. I think it's going to be much worse for Duke than people think, than Vegas thinks it will be.
Yep. All right. So how many picks do you have, Hose? 10?
10. Yep.
Top 6.
We should here. You want me to go run down them again?
No.
You guys can do the same.
No, that's fine. I mean, we already went through it.
We'll recap it on the live stream Tuesday.
Yeah.
Deal.
Yeah, we'll do that.
How our bets went. I'll probably go 6-0.
10-0. Here we come.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, if he goes 6-0, I'm at least 6-4.
Yeah, I mean, he
already
did.
copied my entire play sheet.
We did not look at each other's play sheets. He lives 1,000 miles away.
Yeah. So, well, all right. So we made it through that. Previewed the game. Obviously excited. You guys have any final thoughts or anything at all? I mean, I'm just glad it's Labor Day weekend, long weekend. It's a great it's the best time of the year.
Doesn't suck.
Yeah. I mean, I love summer, but
drop your first of all your score predictions for OU Ark State. First game of the season. Who you're most excited to watch play? Because there's going to be a lot of transitioning. I picked Hassan McCullough and Peyton Bowen. Very excited to see those 2 newcomers on the defense. And then if you want to throw in, some of your betting picks, go ahead and throw it in there with us. So I guess a 3-part end of video challenge. That's fun. Let's see if anybody does all 3.
You're asking a lot. So, all right. Well, if you made it this far, again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Everything's linked in the description below. Remember, every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Central, we go live to talk recruiting, and now we get to talk football, and maybe not just Oklahoma football games, but what happened? Does LSU actually handle their business, or am I looking like an idiot and Florida State actually plays really well? So a lot of discussion to be had, and a lot of recruiting considering next week, Nigel Smith will be announcing his commitment. So definitely a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll catch you guys next time.